Hello everyone and welcome back to Crochetera's channel. Today I will show you how to make this adorable baby vest with flowers. This size is 3 to 6 months, but you can easily adjust it to bigger or smaller. I will leave some information down below, so please check it out. I also attached the button in the back so that this vest goes easy over baby's head. For this project, I used yarn that I adore, and it is the Coboo yarn by Lion brand. It is weight 3 yarn, and recommended crochet hook is 4 millimeters, which is what I used. And I used pink and white. What else you will use for this project, you need for this project, is a pair of scissors, darning needle, size 4 crochet hook, as I said, or larger or smaller if that's what you need, and stitch markers as well as measuring tape. So I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. Leave your comments, subscribe, likes, and without further ado, let's begin. Chain 25, (23), 24, and 25. Into the fourth chain. So the fourth chain from the hook is, we do not count this one on the hook, so it's the very first V. So 1, 2, 3, 4. So into this fourth chain, we're going to double crochet. And this is our first partial granny stitch cluster. We're now going to skip 2 stitches. So skip these 2. Into the third stitch, we're going to put 3 double crochets. Again, we're going to skip 2 stitches, and into the third, we are going to place a cluster, 3 double crochet cluster, as they call it, granny stitch. And one more time, skip 1, 2, into the third one, place 3 double crochet cluster. Do so till the remaining, till the last 3 stitches, and I shall meet you there. So skip 1, 2, and into the third stitch, put a cluster. I'm down to the 3 last stitches. Into the third or the last stitch, we're going to put 2 double crochets. So that's going to match the beginning of our work, which was also a chain 3 and a double crochet. So the first row is done. You will now chain 3 and turn your work. So turn it this way, flip it over your thumb, if you will. We now have 2 double crochets here from the chain 3 and double crochet from the previous row. We're going to be working in these spaces between the cluster stitches from the previous row. So in this space here, we're going to place our first cluster. Moving on to the next space between the 2 clusters from the previous row, place another double crochet 3 cluster. Moving on to the next space, and so on till the end of the row, and I'll show you how to end this row. At the end of the row, we now have one double crochet, and we have chain 3. So 1 double crochet is the first V you can see next to your cluster. We're going to slip stitch into this stitch here, which is the top of, we're going to make a double crochet into this chain 3 top. Make sure you grab 2 strands instead of 1. It's going to look neater. So 1 double crochet. So this is now matching the beginning. And what's going to happen is we're going to be repeating these 2 rows. So in the first row we had a chain 3 and a double crochet, and in the second row we only had 1 chain 3. The same was happening here. 2 here, 1 only here. So we're going to chain 3. If it's easier for you to use a stitch marker to mark the top of chain 3, you can definitely use a stitch marker. I find that sometimes easier. So chain 3, and again flip your work. So this time we had 2, 1. We're going to do 2 double crochets, which means a chain 3 plus this 1 double crochet. So I am going to mark this stitch, the one right next to the double crochet we just made. So now we have a double crochet, or three chains and a double crochet. We're going to move on to the next space and place our cluster stitch. And move on to the next space, place cluster stitch. And I'll meet you at the end of the row. At the end of the row, we are going to place a 1 double crochet into the space, and we are going to slip stitch into the chain 3 to the top of chain 3 from the previous row. And flip your work, chain 3, and we will do our first cluster in that space right next to at the end of row 4. We're going to slip stitch into the top of chain 3. I finished my 4 rows, and just want to make sure that you guys can see the difference. So this is my wrong side of the work. If you look at the border, it kind of looks thicker than it does on this side of the work. It looks way more neater. It almost looks like a little braid. So that's my right side of the work. So if I lay it flat down like this, we can now count the granny stitches. It's row 1, 2, 3, 4. What we need is 19 rows. So keep doing these, repeating these 2 rows until you reach row 19. And I'll see you there. So I completed my front panel. So this is the part that will be at the front of our vest. So with the setup row, I now have 19 rows, and the way you count it is to go from here. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, and 19. So 19 rows altogether. What you need to do now is make another one of these, same process. So chaining 25 and then doing your cluster stitch, and with the setup row altogether to have 19 rows, but do not finish your work. And I'll meet you there. To finish the back panel, so we have our 18 rows, which was up to here. We now need to separate the two halves. So that's going to allow me to place a button here just to make it easier to put it over baby's head. So find the middle, and the middle is just by counting those cluster stitches. So we always have 2 or 1 double crochets at the end, and then in the middle we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 clusters. Put your stitch marker in the middle right here, and then continue for 3 more rows of cluster stitches, and the same idea of ending with 2 or 1 double crochet at the end. I'm going to show you now how to do that for the other side. So pull up your yarn at the marker and chain 3 right into that space. And 3. Tighten a little. I'm going to work over. So in this very first stitch here, you will put a double crochet. Then we'll do a cluster stitch in each. Now we're going to put a double crochet in the top of chain 3. And turn our work. Chain 3. We're going to place another double crochet into this very first space, and then a cluster stitch into the next one. And then 1 double crochet at the top of chain 3. Turn your work, chain 3. And now we're going to place 1 double crochet into this space here, and then cluster stitches in empty spaces. And a double crochet on the top of chain 3. You can now chain 1 and finish. This is my front panel, which is now shorter than the back panel, and then we're going to add some stitches here to provide enough room for the shoulder. To continue, so these two pieces are now with inner sides or the wrong side facing each other. And what I'm going to do now, insert your hook to the top of chain 3 on the front panel. I'm going to tie this just so it's a little bit better secured. So insert your hook there again, pull up a loop, and now we're going to chain 1, 2, and slip stitch to the top of chain 3 of the stitch on the back panel. Right here, slip stitch, chain 1, and cut your yarn. And again, pull your yarn through, either tie it or chain 1, 7, and 8, and we're going to slip stitch at the top of chain 3 on the back side of the vest, slip stitch, chain one, and cut your yarn. All right, so here we go. So what you could do now is you can hide some of these tails, which is what I'm going to do off the camera, and then I'll meet you again. So I hid all my tails. Now this is my right side, and I know that again because of this border. So right side here and right side in the back, and then the wrong sides are facing each other. So what we're going to do next is switch to our contrasting color if you're using it. If not, just continue with whichever color you're working in. And we are going to start where these two stitches were in the very first row. So there is one double crochet and this is the other. We're going to start in that same space. So drive your hook in there and pull up that yarn. And now we're going to crochet, but in the opposite direction. So chain 3, and now we're gonna add one more double crochet into that same space, and we're now gonna start working on our granny stitch clusters. So each row obviously has one full shell space and whatnot. So we are going to place a double crochet granny stitch cluster in each of the rows where the granny stitches are closer to us, or where we crocheting. So here, 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 and so on. So we're skipping this space here. We are going into the next space and putting a double crochet cluster or granny stitch. Again, skipping this space and going to where the first granny stitch is and doing another cluster stitch. Skip this, go into this space, and do so till the end of the row before we reach the chains that we created, and then we're going to do shells together there. So I just put my last shell in to where the row with shell stitches were closer to where I'm working. We're going to skip this space and we're going to put our first granny cluster into this very first stitch. We're going to skip 2 stitches, so 1, 2, and into the third one we'll put another cluster stitch. So in total we're going to put 3 cluster stitches here on this chain that we created. Again, skip 2 and into the third one put another shell. Okay, so this is what we have so far. Now here we're going to enter one of the shells into this very first space. Skip this space, go to the next one. Skip, go to the next one, and do that till the end of the row, and I'll show you how to finish at the end. We're now at the end of the row, so we are going to place our last 2 double crochets into the same space where these 2 stitches are coming out from the very first setup row. So put 2 double crochets there. Turn your work and chain 3, and we will start with the cluster stitch or granny stitch in this first space and every space thereafter until you get to the end of the row. I'm at my last cluster stitch or granny stitch. And we're going to slip stitch at the top of chain 3. So this is what we have so far. Find the stitch from where these 2 stitches are coming out of. So these are the 2 stitches we're talking about, and they're both coming out from here. Pull the yarn through, secure it, and now insert the hook into that same space, chain 3, and put your first double crochet or second double crochet into that same space. So we are going to put the shell right here into the next space. So we're going to have to flip the chains a little bit. So we're going to go into this stitch right here and put our first granny cluster, now skip 2, so 1, 2, and into this space we're going to put another cluster. So we need 3 in total at the shoulder. More, and skip 2, and into this stitch here place your last cluster stitch. Okay, now looking at our first shell here, we're going to place a shell in there. Skip the next space and go where the shell is, and I'll meet you at the end of the row to show you one more time how to turn your work. At the end of the row, find again that 1 stitch from which both of these stitches are coming out of, and place 2 double crochets in that same space. I completed my 5 rows on each side, so now let's just double check. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. What we're going to do now is we're going to join the 2 sides, but we have to make sure that we measure for the armholes first. To connect the 2 sides, or the front to the back, I will mark 7 shells. So these are the 2 end ones. We need 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 shells, and I placed a stitch marker in that space as well as on the other side. So here we have the same thing. These are the two end stitches. Then we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 shells. I'm going to place the stitch marker right here. And I will do the same on the other end. So two end ones, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. It's important to say that I'm now working with two wrong sides facing me. So the right sides with a nice little braid here are inside. Chain 1, and into the same space make a single crochet. Grab the back part, insert your hook into the top of chain 3 and make a single crochet. Chain 1. Go back to the front, skip 1 chain, make a single crochet into the next. Grab the back side, so this is where the stitch is coming out of, skip 1 and into the next one do a single crochet and chain 1. So every time we're working on the back is single crochet, chain 1. In the front we skip 1 and do a single crochet. Go to the back, this is where the stitch is coming out of, skip 1 and into the next one, single crochet and chain 1. The front, skip 1, single crochet, back, skip 1, single crochet and chain 1. Let's do this one more time. Single crochet in the front and in the back, skip 1, into the next one, single crochet and chain 1. So I came to my stitch markers, so skip 1 and into the next do a single crochet. On the back side, skip 1 and into the next one do a single crochet and a chain 1. I will remove the marker and put one more single crochet here. Remove a stitch marker on the other end and into the very first stitch after the space, chain 1 and cut your yarn. So this is what we got. So let's work on the neck part. It's pretty squarey right now. It's like 90-degree angle. So we just want to soften it a little bit and also close it in a little bit. So what I've done, I marked the beginning and the end in the back, on the back panel, my very last stitch, which is the chain 3. And then I marked each corner and here and here and here. It's just easier to find it once you start your work. So I'm going to use my pink yarn to begin with in the back. So attach your yarn and chain 1 and into that same space, single crochet. You can work over your tail. Now continue doing 1 single crochet in every stitch until we reach the corner. So 1 stitch before the marked corner, remove your stitch marker, insert your hook into the stitch, then into the one where the stitch marker was, and then we're going to insert right here. We're gonna pull through all of these loops on our hook. Into the very next space, put 2 single crochets. Here, where the cluster stitches, put only 1, 2 in this space here. And now we are 1 stitch before the stitch marker. So insert your hook and pull up a yarn. Insert your hook to where the stitch marker was, pull up a loop, and then one more time, and go through all loops on your hook. This is the front, so it's easier to see where the stitches are. So do single crochet in each of the stitches on the front panel. And we're gonna continue this until the end of the row, and I'll meet you at our next corner. So we're gonna do what we did at the other corners. So 1 stitch before the actual marked corner. Let's do 3 single crochet together. In this next space, 2 single crochets, 1 single crochet at the bottom of the cluster stitch, and 2 here. So we are now 1 stitch before the stitch marker. And a 3rd single crochet together, and now do 1 single crochet in each stitch. Here on this end we are going to make a button loop, and 1 more in the top of the chain 3. Insert your hook into the next stitch and slip stitch. We will now do 4 chains and slip stitch into the first chain space. So this is now our button loop. I am going to place 1 more stitch into this space, or I'll slip stitch, I should say, and pull up your yarn and cut your yarn. So button loop made. We're going to work on the bottom now to lengthen our project. So just start your work in the on the sides under the armpit, going downwards to the bottom, chain 3, and do your first shell. And then we're going to do clusters where the cluster stitches are from the previous row all around. Skip this one and into the next one. So now at the end, putting my last shell in here for cluster stitch, and I'm gonna slip stitch to the top of chain 3. Now go in here and slip stitch. Do 1, 2, 3 chains and 2 more double crochets. and continue putting a cluster stitch in each of the spaces that we created in the previous row. I'm at the end of my second row, and this is my last cluster stitch. And I'm gonna slip stitch to the top of chain 3. I found a button that I'm gonna use, and it's a very plain white, very flat button. I need to make sure that it goes through my button loop, and it does go comfortably. So what I have to do now is attach it to the back of the sweater. For the flower, I'm gonna make magic circle, and into that magic circle I'm gonna put chain 1, single crochet. So that's 1. We need in total 12 single crochets. So close your loop and slip stitch to the very first single crochet. Don't finish it, but grab your contrasting yarn and finish that single or slip stitch. So chain 3 and into that same space double crochet. I'm going to be working over my tail, only the contrasting yarn, no, leave the other two alone. Now we have to do a treble crochet, so yarn over twice and then do 2 and then 2 loops on your hook again and 2 loops. Now make a double crochet, chain 3 and slip stitch into that same stitch. So that's 1 petal done. Now we're gonna skip the next stitch, which is right here, and slip stitch into the next stitch and repeat. So chain 3, make double crochet, triple crochet, double crochet, chain 3 and slip stitch into that same beginning stitch. Petal number 2, skip this stitch and move on to the next one, slip stitch in there, chain 3. So the sequence is chain 3, double crochet, triple crochet, double crochet and 3 chains, slip stitching back into the same stitch, and I will meet you at the end to show you how to finish. So I came to the end. I'm going to skip this stitch, slip stitch into the next one and make my last chain 3, slip stitch in there, and now we have our 6 petal flower. So I'm going to tighten the middle of my flower, and I'm going to use these 2 strands to attach my flower to my work. So that's that. So chain 1 and cut your yarn. Done. And I marked the stitches I'm going to tie my flowers onto. So pick the row where there are 7 shells, so full shells. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. If you look at the row below, the full shells are here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So do this at the height that you want, but this is the easiest way to find the middle. Plus you're going to have something to attach the flower to. If you go here, it may be a little bit too big of a hole for you to do so. I will go under my work, just around that stitch right there, right there. So here we are. So right here, hope you can see that. And then take one of these strands and pull it inside your work. Well, I usually use my crochet hook because it's so much easier to do it that way. Okay, so now we need to grab the second strand, remove the stitch marker, and then again I'll put my finger here where I want it, so I'm going to go for this stitch over here. Right there, and grab that second strand and pull your yarn through. So grab these 2 strands from the inside and pull them gently, just to see if the placement of your flower is to your satisfaction. I quite like it. So if you like where the flower is, hold it with your fingers and flip your work until you can get to those 2 strands. And now you can attach the flower. Tie a knot, I would say 3 times. And then you can weave in your ends. So first flower is attached. I hid my tails, and what I do like to do is I like to attach these flowers a little bit onto the fabric only. So the most important thing is that it doesn't show on top that we are stitching the flower to the fabric. So I'm going to start somewhere in here, just under the flower, and tie my yarn on. Okay. There. So flip your work so the flower is facing you and it's flat. So from this middle here, we are approximately in the center of the flower. Insert your needle and then you'll see where you are. So I would probably go somewhere in here. And just kind of follow the stitches around. Go in the back again. Come out here in the middle. There you go. So see, very little shows on the other side. So I will use under or inside of the shirt or the vest to bring this closer to this piece of yarn. And now I'm gonna tie them off. So there you go. Our little flower is attached. I'm gonna do the same with the other flower and I'll meet you back. So this is it. Our adorable baby girl vest is done. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial as much as I did making it. For more information on how to make this vest in different sizes, please check the description box below. This baby vest tutorial is great for boys or girls, and if you enjoyed this tutorial, please click like or subscribe or both. And just to let you know, I'm going to be making a matching hat very soon, so stay tuned. And until our next project together, stay well, everyone.